Hello and welcome to the WhatCar.com podcast, which this week comes from 1976. I was 4 and Ford had just launched this, the first generation Fiesta. That's right, and we're here in London to see how Britain's favourite Super Mini has developed and improved over the last 31 years.
The Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders has brought these two Fiestas and a host of other old and new cars together to demonstrate just how much things have improved over the years. This Mark I Fiesta, for instance, emits more CO2 than the modern-day equivalent, even though it's got a smaller engine and it weighs a significant 300 kilos less.
It's really easy for me to feel very nostalgic about this car. It's the first one I remember my mum driving me around in when I was a kid. But let's face it, it's crude, it's noisy, it's uncomfortable, the brakes are appalling, and it's dirty.
Its fuel consumption is more than 10 mpg worse, and it's got no airbags, no ABS, and no stability control.
Oh, this is much better. How far have we come in 31 years? The steering's much nicer, it's so quiet, the controls are really easy to use, and, of course, despite being 300 kilos heavier than the 1976 car, this one is cleaner.
You'd have to drive 76 of these 2007 Fiestas around to produce as much nitrogen dioxide, which is linked to respiratory illness and acid rain, as the Mark I car. Or 71 new Fiestas to produce as much carbon monoxide as the old car. Or 51 new cars to emit as many hydrocarbons as the old car. It's not game over, however. Every car, including this Fiesta, is going to have to cut back on its carbon dioxide emissions even more. Manufacturers are highly likely to miss their own goal of average emissions of 140 grams per kilometre of CO2 by next year. They're also coming under increasing pressure from the European Union to meet even harder targets by 2012. From something old and something new to, well, something weird, like this Pivo 2 concept from Nissan. It goes on display at the Tokyo Motor Show in a couple of weeks, and it follows on from the first Pivo, which was unveiled a couple of years ago. Like that car, it's got a round, P-shaped cabin that, of course, can rotate through 360 degrees. But this version can also make like a crab and park sideways. It's just one of many far-out concepts that always make an appearance at Tokyo. How about this round box, for instance, also from Nissan? Or the iReal 1/X, or high CT cars from Toyota. This crosshead is from Suzuki and can be turned from one car into another, and then another with different modules. This Subaru Impreza WRX shows that Tokyo is also about cars you can buy, however. The Suzuki Kizashi 2 will be launched as a Ford Mondeo rival by 2009 or 2010. While this Lexus LS FH gives some big clues for the look of the next RX 4x4. The CRZ is likely to get the go-ahead from Honda, which is also showing the latest Jazz. And then there's the new 6 from Mazda, which you can read the first drive of online at WhatCar.com now. It shares the limelight on the Mazda stand with a Taiki. So, back to the weird and wonderful then. Come back to WhatCar.com on Wednesday, October the 24th for our full report from the show. A Mark II Renault Clio owner has started an online petition after the bonnet of her car was lifted by the wind and smashed into her windscreen at 65 miles an hour. Michelle McGinley wants an independent committee of MPs to investigate the government's Vehicle and Operator Services Agency, or VOSA, which oversees cases like the bonnet of the Mark II Clio. She thinks VOSA knew about the problem with the car a year before owners were notified of the risk. The Department for Transport says this isn't true, and also disputes McGinley's claim that VOSA is unable to work independently of car manufacturers. You can find McGinley's petition at petitions.pm.gov.uk/VOSA activities. On a more cheerful Renault note, this is not just an ordinary Modus. This is the new, longer wheelbase Grand Modus that Renault will put on sale in the UK next year. Wheelbase is stretched by 93mm to create more space inside. Renault hopes buyers will see it as a genuine mini MPV with its flexible seats, increased luggage space and overhead lockers. That's it from this dancing pool for this week. Come back next week for some more.